It's great to be here in India. I always love coming here. The energy here is awesome. So thank you guys all for coming out here today for our first town hall Q&A in India. I'm so excited to be here. So I think Anki just gave you a sense of what we're going to do, but you know, these town hall Q&As are a really important way and part of how we run the company and the community at Facebook, right? Because for many years, you know, every week inside the company, we've had a Q&A with employees where people can just raise any question they want. They ask hard questions. They give us feedback, and it's a good opportunity for me to hear from people about what they're thinking about. So we recently started doing this for our community as well, and have been traveling to a lot of places around the world to hear from our community. And you know, India has 130 million people who use Facebook. It's the second biggest country. So it's really important, I think, to have a chance to hear from all of you today and hear what you're thinking about. And, you know, we'll probably get some ideas for how we can make Facebook a better service. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate all of you guys coming out here today to have this dialogue. Now, before we get started, there's one topic that I want to touch on, and that's, you know, as we were flying in to Delhi, I received word that there was this terrible earthquake, right? And it's centered in Afghanistan, but, you know, also affected people in Pakistan. And, you know, our team who was on the ground here and a lot of my friends here sent me notes saying that we could feel the whole place shake for a minute. And, you know, it's moments like these when it's so important for people to be able to come together and to know what's going on with the people that you love. Right? We often talk about our mission at Facebook as helping people connect, and you know, a lot of times people think about that as, you know, sharing photos or, you know, simple things that are going on throughout your day. But when there's a disaster, it's, you know, all you want to know is whether the people that you love are safe. And one of the things that I'm really happy about is, you know, we activated the safety check tool that we have for the community on Facebook, and already more than 3 million people have marked themselves as safe, and more than 150 million people in the community have been notified that their friends and loved ones are safe from the impact of the earthquake. So I really appreciate all the effort that people have gone to make sure that they tell their friends and that their loved ones can hear that they're safe. And this is just another thing that you know, our community does that I think is pretty important in the world. So you know, we're continuing to think about everyone who was hurt and was affected by this crisis, and we'll be doing more to try to help out. All right. We'll get started with some questions.
Question time. So we received literally thousands of questions to your postmark, and there are a bunch of questions which have been selected from that thread. Some of those people are here in person to ask you those questions. The bunch of students who sent in questions when they registered to join the town hall, and we will take some of those questions from there. And then there are some questions which we will take from the live audience. So I know nobody is shy, so please put up your hand and I'll come to you. So we have our first questioner here, Ankit.
Hi, Mark.
Hey.
Myself, Ankit Jain, and I'm a chartered accountant by profession. So my question is very simple. And why are you showing so much interest in India? Answer honestly.
So our mission is to give everyone in the world the power to share what's important to them and to connect every person in the world. And India is the world's largest democracy. It's, you know, one of the biggest countries where if you really have a mission of connecting every person in the world, you can't do that without helping to connect everyone in India. So we think about this in two ways. First, there are already more than 130 million people in India who use Facebook. It is one of the largest communities that we have across the world, and we take our responsibility to serve the people in India who are already using Facebook and WhatsApp, which is also in our family of products, we take that very seriously. So having the ability to hear and talk to people and hear what they need from us and what we're doing well or what we're doing that we can improve and need to do better, that's a huge thing that we need to do for our community. The second part is that there are 1 billion people in India who do not have access to the internet yet. And if what you care about is connecting everyone in the world, then you can't do that if there are so many people who don't even have access to basic connectivity. Now, everyone here probably has access to the internet in some capacity, and when you've had it for a while, you start to take it for granted. You think about it as maybe it's something that I can use to get access to entertainment or some basic communication tools. But it's easy to forget that if you haven't had access to the internet, it's really a tool that provides some vital infrastructure for your life, right? I mean, it can provide educational information for people who don't have access to good schools. It can provide health information on how to take care of your child or avoid diseases for people who don't have access to good doctors or health infrastructure. It can provide access to job listings for people who live in poorer villages where the economy isn't very strong. So the research has shown on this that for every 10 people who get access to the internet, about one person gets a new job, a job is created, and about one person gets lifted out of poverty. So there's just a tremendous opportunity in India, right? If there are 1 billion people who are not connected, then this is one of the biggest opportunities, I think, to help develop the economy here and to help alleviate poverty and really lift up a lot of folks. And, it's easy to talk about this as something that will be important for India, but I actually think that connecting people in India is one of the most important things that we can do for the whole world, right? Because it's not just improving the lives of people here that getting access to the internet will have. It's also that, there are all these ideas that, entrepreneurs and students have here that the rest of the world doesn't have access to today because those people don't have the ability to share what they know, right, in their experience. All the things that entrepreneurs and students could produce if they had access to these tools, everyone around the world, not just in India, but every other person in the world is currently robbed of that opportunity because folks don't have the opportunity that they need here to create the companies or opportunities that they want. So that's why I care about it. We have a large community of people here. It's the second biggest community that we have in the world, and we care deeply about serving that well and giving everyone the best tools that we can to help people share everything that they want. And we really want to get the next 1 billion people online. And if we can play a role in either of those things, then that's something that I personally care a lot about. And that's why I'm so excited to be here.
Our next question is from you, Ankita.
Hi, Mark. Welcome to India.
Hey, thank you.
I am Ankita, and I am with the Railways, and I am also a sports person. So I need to ask you that although we are 130 million users here, how do you wish to connect with those who are not on FB or who don't even have any access to internet? Yes.
Yeah, this is the key question, right? So if I just talked a bit about why I thought connecting everyone to the internet was important, I think what you're asking about is kind of how you do this, right? How do you get 1 billion people onto the internet and to improve their lives in that way? And the first thing that I'd say is just we can look at the efforts that we've had with Internet.org and our other programs around the world and here in India. Internet.org is we've had this program to spread internet connectivity. It is live in more than 24 countries and growing around the world. And here's a new stat that we haven't shared before, is there are 15 million people around the world who have access to the internet now because of the efforts that we're taking with Internet.org, who wouldn't have had it otherwise. And, if you believe these stats that we've seen that show that for every 10 people who get access to the internet, there's a new job is created and a person is lifted out of poverty, then connecting 15 million people to the internet around the world is that's a pretty good impact. So I've seen some cynical reporting saying that, the program isn't doing as well as we want. I don't know. If you don't think that's good, I want to know what you think is good. But we're off to a good start around the world. What we found is here in India, almost 1 million people now have access to the internet because of these efforts who didn't before. What we find is that in the places that have access to these free basic services, the rate of people getting on the internet doubles. Right? So we've started it in some areas and it hasn't expanded throughout the whole country yet. So in the areas that have it, internet growth rate is twice as much as it was before. So that's the main message that I deliver, is, this is a program that is working around the world. We just started in India a bit earlier this year, so it's still a bit earlier in its growth, but we know that this works, and we know that it will connect more people. In terms of how exactly it works, you kind of need to break down, there are about 4 billion people in the world who don't have access to the internet. And they kind of break down into there are three reasons why people might not have access. One is we call availability, right? You might have a phone, but there's no network that's available for you to access. The second is affordability, right? Which is you have a phone and you might be able to access a network, but it's very expensive or you might not be able to afford it. And the third issue, which is actually the biggest, interestingly, is awareness. And what that means is, you have a phone and you have access to and you can get access to the internet and you can afford it, but you may not know why you would want to use the internet. And, if you grew up and you never had access to a computer and you never used the internet, and someone asked you if you wanted to buy a data plan, it's not a surprise that a lot of people's question is, well, what do I get with the data plan, right? Why would I want to spend some of the money that I have on getting a data plan? So we're doing things on all three of these to basically break down all of these barriers. On availability, there are a lot of places in the world where there just aren't good networks. It's too expensive to have the traditional internet infrastructure spread all the way out to a lot of these very rural areas. So we're investing in new ways to deliver connectivity. Solar-powered planes that can fly up in the air and beam down connectivity. We just announced a project to put a satellite up in space that can beam down connectivity. So those are new ways to deliver connectivity. The second, for affordability, we're very focused on just making it so that our apps and others use less data. Right, so if you go back about a couple of years, the Facebook app now uses, I think it's about 1/10 of the amount of data as it used to. So that means that not only does it cost you 1/10 as much because you don't have to pay for that data, but it's also faster and more reliable because there's less to transfer over the wire. So that's a big deal. And then the third issue of awareness, what we've done is we've tried to introduce this program, Free Basics. And what that does is it makes it so that people can have access to, some not the richest kind of media, not streaming videos or big app downloads, the stuff that kind of consumes a lot of bandwidth, but the basic utilities. So stuff like education information or health information or job listings or Wikipedia or basic communication tools or basic news. And what we found is that ends up being very useful. People use those things, they get on the internet, and then within about a month, about half of the people who have tried out Free Basics now realize why the internet is so great and why they want to use it, and then they become full-paying customers of the full internet. So the goal of Free Basics is not just to provide free basic services to everyone, but it's also to give people this on-ramp so that way they can start experiencing that and then eventually, and relatively quickly, start paying for the overall internet. So that's the game plan. We're going to work on all three, availability, affordability, and awareness. It's already working around the world. 15 million people now have access to the internet who wouldn't have otherwise. And we're still early, so it's growing, and we expect a lot more to come soon.
So this is a question which lots and lots of people want answers to. It's one of the top voted questions on the thread. And I think it's a serious one, deserving a serious answer.
All right.
And this is, I seriously don't want to get any more invitations on Candy Crush. How can I start getting it?
There you go. All right. See, so this is where these town hall Q&As are really useful. Because I actually saw this question, that it was the top voted question on my thread. So I sent a message to the person who runs the team in charge of our developer platform, and I said, by the time that I do this town hall Q&A, I think it would be good if we had a solution to this problem. So we do. So she emailed me later that night and was like, all right, look, there are some tools that are kind of outdated that allow people to send invitations to people who've never used a game and have gotten a lot of invitations in the past, but don't play games on Facebook. And we hadn't prioritized shutting that down because we just had other priorities. But if this is the top thing that people care about, then we'll prioritize that and we'll do it. So we're doing it.
Okay, audience question. Who wants to ask a question? Okay. I'll come there in a bit. What's your name?
My name is Shashwat. Yeah. Hi, Mark. I am Shashwat, and I lead the technology team at holidify.com. So my question was related to the technology that you guys are working on, the Oculus Rift. So I wanted to know that how you have decided to are you guys planning to incorporate that somehow to the social media? And the second part of my question is, how can, as a developer, we'll be able to get more of that information, and how can we use that technology into our stuffs, and we can work on that?
Absolutely. So for your second question first, we have dev kits for Oculus. You can already get them. It's a few $100s, and we're shipping them all around the world. We've shipped more than, I think it's more than 100,000 or almost 200,000 dev kits. So you can get your hands on one. You can start building for Oculus. It's an awesome experience, and I encourage you to do that if you're interested. In terms of how this fits into the overall vision, one of the big trends that we've seen on Facebook and on the internet overall is that as time goes on, people get these richer and richer mediums for sharing what's important to them. So if you go back 10 or 15 years, most of what we shared on the internet was text, right? And over the last 5 or 10 years, now a lot of it is photos. Then it's visual, and so photos, other kind of graphical content. Over the next period of time, we're really, I think, entering this golden age of internet video, where the primary way that we're going to both share our experience and consume other people's kind of experience and ideas online is going to be through video. So you've seen this progression from text to photos that were graphic but static to videos that are now kind of animated and richer. But, I don't think videos are the end of the line, right? Because as rich as a video is in terms of telling a story, it's still just small screen. It's still 2D. And, I think that people want an even richer medium, right? You want to be able to feel like you're there. And that's what virtual reality and augmented reality can do. They can make it so that you actually feel like you're right there in the scene. So, my wife and I are expecting a daughter sometime soon. And, one of the things that I look really forward to doing is, traditionally people, write to their, thank you, by the way. I'm very excited about that as well. People will, write to their parents, oh, our baby had her first steps, or, you take a photo, or more recently you take a video. I want my family to be able to be there, right? So to take a video or capture that experience of her taking her first steps, and then to be able to share that experience and make it so that my parents, my friends who weren't maybe able to be there in person, can feel like they're there and experiencing that and seeing her do that and take those steps. And that, I think, is going to be really magical. So in terms of how this fits into the overall vision of social media, just as time goes on, the trend is towards richer and richer communication. And I think at some point in the future, it's going to take maybe 5 or 10 years to really develop before this is a very big thing that a lot of people are doing. I think that this is going to be something where you can capture these scenes and you can share them in your feed or on WhatsApp, just like you share a photo or text today, and you'll be able to pass around these things which are going to be very close to real life experiences that we have. And I think that's going to be pretty amazing. I'm really excited about that.
So we have the first student question here. Rachit, what's your question?
Hey Mark, thank you for coming to IIT Delhi. It's a great honor for us. And my name is Rachit. I'm a student here. So Facebook can be investing a lot in AI with the opening of Facebook AI Research Lab in Paris and other university collaborations. So what are some of the future products we can expect from Facebook in this regard?
Yeah, so AI is a really exciting area of development. I think about it, we have this goal that in 5 to 10 years, we want to be able to build computer systems which can be better at the main human senses than people are, right? So can see better, right? Can kind of recognize people or things in the world.